We're going to be pulling up a worksheet here because we want to talk about real situations. What kind of situation are you in? So when we're dealing with situations that are real live, this is really happening with people out there. You're going to see that you're not alone, that, probably most of Americans are in your same situation, and we think we're alone, and we think that we're the only ones that's trapped in this system, but you're not, okay? And when you realize that you're not the only one that's going through whatever that situation may be, it just feels better, doesn't it? I mean, it just feels a little bit better to know that, hey, I'm not the only one that's in this mess. 98% of Americans are right here with me. The struggle is real. This is really happening, that everyone is um, not educated in the way financial system works here in the US, and maybe you're not in your country, wherever that be. So please understand that you're not alone in this situation. That's why that I'm trying to help people get it as educated as possible based up on what I know and what my experience has been. And no, I'm not a financial advisor, but wow, I have been through hell and back with finances. And if I can show you all something, a little something to do that will help you to end the struggle and to find some financial peace, then that's what I'm going to do. So let's pull up a worksheet here and talk a little bit about what is going on with them financially. I think that YouTube is having a problem coming up. So we're going to see what is going on with them too. Let's see what's happening here. I want to make sure everybody is getting in on this. Okay. All right. Are we good? Are we good? Okay. All right. So we had a couple today that is in a lot of collections, and they're feeling very stressed out about the situation that they're in. The collections can ruin you as far as your credit scores, your report. And when these loan companies or the banks are pulling your credit, they're like, oh wow, oh my gosh, they have such bad credit. Guess what? We get to charge them more. Does that ever make sense to anybody? I used to remember thinking that here I am in trouble where I cannot make my payments. I already cannot make my payments because I'm broke. And then you get a late charge when it's late, right? So you get the late charge. And then if you're working with a bank through your checking account and maybe you have a bounce check, they called it. Do they still call it bounce checks? I don't even know if they call them that anymore or not. But the point is that here you are, you're in a bad situation already, and you're trying to figure that out. And then they're throwing these fees on you, the late fees. Okay. So if you've got late fees, what are they? $35, maybe more now. Maybe the credit card fees. If you're late on that payment, you're going to get another fee. If you go over, 30 days, you're going to get a bad report sent to your credit. So it's like you can't win, right? You're constantly trying to get your head above water. I remember doing that with my credit card so much that I would be late, then they would give me a late fee. Then I would be over the limit, and they would give me an over the limit fee. And so you were literally just swimming in fees because you had to get you're supposed to get that balance under their limit, but you couldn't seem to ever get under the limit because there was another fee. And so by the time you paid the fee for being over the limit, and then you paid the fee for being late, now there's $60 and you didn't have $50 to spend. So it's like, okay, I'm just keeping it right at the limit. The interest is going to be applied. It's going to go over the limit again. We're going to get another $30 or 35. Woo, stress. Is that stress or what? I'm telling you, people, I have been there, done that, and I know where you're at possibly. So, all of that being said, we want to talk about the collections and what if you're in that situation. So right now I'm trying to find my channel, because if I can find my channel, then I can find this live. And that's exactly where we're going here. I want to talk to you too. When we talk about this stuff, everything is important. How are you carrying yourself in general every single day? Do you walk around like that you've got a purpose? Do you walk around like you're excited to be alive? Or are you walking around like that you're just dragging through? Okay. I feel like there's so many people are just dragging through. I'll walk into a store, and whether it be Walmart or the mall, and people are just like, and I'm like, my grandmother used to tell me when I was younger, she'd say, you stand up straight and walk like that you are going somewhere. And I used to think, what does that even mean? But that makes all the sense now, because we do need to be excited to be alive. She said, when you answer that phone, you put a smile on your face and then you say hello. She said, hello. She said, if you have a smile on your face, it's just going to sound better. So people need encouragement. People need somebody that is alive and lively and excited to be alive. And so when I say get up every day and walk like you have purpose, do it. I mean, we only live once. We live every day. We die once. So live while you're alive. I swear, if Bon Jovi didn't say it right, nobody did. Can you adopt me? Oh my goodness, my own children don't want me. I don't know if you want me or not. Thank you for sharing this information. You were born to be an accountant. No, I wasn't. Oh my gosh. An accountant? If I had to look at numbers every day like that, I would probably scream. No, I do not want to be an accountant, but thank you. Hello, oopies. Oopies? Okay, you're very welcome. You're welcome. So let's talk about collections. Let's talk about what that looks like when you are in a situation to where you can't do anything because you've got a crap load of collections. And that's something that I just saw, and I want to talk to them out loud here for a minute on YouTube and look at these numbers. You all, I'm telling you, you're not in as bad of a situation as you think you are. Where is my markers? Okay. So the income is 5,200. What did I tell you guys about this 5,200? This is a mom and a dad. The mom makes about 1,400 a month. The dad makes the rest. So 5,200, that appears to be the American average. Okay, some of you make way less, some of you make way, way more. The fact is this is kind of just an average that I see quite a bit. So here we are again. Now we're going to talk about the debt that they have. And I want y'all to hang on because this is quite a ride. All right, so they have a home. So this mortgage, we're going to say a balance to make the numbers easy is about 74,000, and they have a monthly payment of 706. And this was a 5% interest rate on this home. 5%. Woo! So if you have a 5% mortgage interest rate, do your numbers like this too. 5 times 2 equals 10, right? Now add a 0. This is what they are paying in interest. 100%. So if they got a $75,000 mortgage and they're paying 100% interest, what does that mean? Well, that means they're paying $75,000 in interest only. So that means that they're going to be paying $150,000 for a $75,000 home. So this would be their total paid. Okay. So if you have a 3% mortgage and you're like, whoo, so glad I didn't get that 7%. Well, take 3 times 2, that's 6, add a 0. You're paying 60% interest. If you do not believe me, then for goodness sake, go pull the contract that you signed when you bought that home and see what your actual interest rate is. It will be in your closing statement. So you're going to go to about the second or third page halfway down, and you're going to see that it says your interest rate is 5%, but this is not really your interest rate. Okay, your volume is 100%, or they'll have an exact number there. So don't take my word for it. Go look at your own documents. Now, let's erase this off. We'll go back to what their actual debt is. So we've got a car loan. That balance is 20, we'll say 24,000, and the payment is 543. All right, now they have a Discover. That is a balance of 2261 with a $37 payment. And now here comes the collections. Oh my goodness. So they have collection number 1. It is 2,500. No, I'm sorry, 8963. That 2,500 is a family loan. Collection number 2 is 3337. No, they're not making payments on any of this, okay? Collection number 3 is $709. Collection number 4 is $1,041. Collection number 5 is $1,266. Do you see where we're going here? They just keep on and keep on and keep on going deeper and deeper into collections. Okay, they have 3 more besides this. So do you think that they're done for? Is it all over but the crying? Well, let's just keep going on because we got more to talk about before we answer that question. So their living expenses. Let's talk about what the living expenses are for this couple. Now, I'm going to tell you they have 5 children. 5. not all from each other. They had a child or two before they got together. So you're talking about a lot of mouths to feed, okay? But they're doing really good with their living expenses. They realize that they've got a little money with a lot of expense, so they keep everything down pretty good, I think. So their total living expenses are about $2,400, okay? 2,400, and that includes gas, car insurance, phones, electric, water, food, and then miscellaneous things for the kids. So about $220 for extras. Then they have the Fire Stick, ESPN, uh, and then Blue Chew. I guess that's for an animal. Okay, so they have about everything included in here. So this is 2,400. And now let's add up what their debt payments are. The mortgage is 706. That's a really low mortgage. I've not seen that in a long time. And then 37. And then these are collections, so they don't have a monthly payment right now. So 1286 is their debt payments that they're currently making. And they have very, very low credit scores in the 400 and 500s. All right. So we're talking about, if you're in this situation, just wanted to show you this because we've got somebody that's in your situation that we're dealing with here right now. And the point is they have options. They have options, even though you may feel like they don't, and they feel like they don't, but I think they do. So 3686 is their total expenses every month with a $5,200 income. They have $1,514 in cash flow. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, we have a couple of options. One of the options being the Money Max. Now, the Money Max is always going to be able to come in and fix your problems financially if you have cash flow. And since they have cash flow, then the Money Max would be really a good option for them. The Money Max does not care what your credit score is, okay? Doesn't care. It doesn't care what kind of debt you have. It only cares if you have $1 in cash flow. They have 1,500 in cash flow, but they still feel like that their money is just flying through their fingers. When they get paid, then a day or two later, it feels like that they're already broke. And I know this is true because that's exactly the way I used to feel, is that I would get paid on Friday, and by Monday or Tuesday, I was stressing out because I had to make it until the next payday on Friday. And if I got paid every 2 weeks, you could forget it. Okay? You could forget it because I was going to be stressing out and broke. Stressing out and broke. Okay? So the point being that we're all in these situations. And that's why I just aim to encourage people, because if I can come out of it, you can too. You just need to get set up in whatever strategy is going to be your strategy to completely change what's happening in your financial life. So I'm going to answer a couple of questions here. Don't be dragging through. Don't be dragging through. Okay. A return check, bounce check. Okay, whatever. Yes, I know. We've got a bunch of people from different states in the house. Hello. Do I have to set a one-on-one in order to get a Money Max account? The one-on-one just teaches you what it's going to do in your situation. That's free, guys. You've got to get educated. You have to get educated, and that's the way you get educated is you learn what it's going to do for you. If you walk into anything, and let's talk about a diet program. I'm thinking of one off the top of my head. I won't say it because, no need to use the names here. But if you buy into a diet program and you don't know the specifics of what it's going to do for you, and you just think, oh, I'm going to lose weight. Well, you're going to burn out because you have to know what that's going to do to help you. You have to know, am I going to lose 1 pound a week? Am I going to lose 1 pound a month? What do I have to eat if I stray off of the diet a little bit and I eat a chocolate cake instead of eating bok choy? What kind of difference is that going to make for me by the end of the week, by the end of the month? You have to know exactly what's going to be happening with whatever strategy that you have decided to jump into. That's what the Money Max does. And we're going to have a free webinar on Tuesday. And I'm pulling it up here. I think I am. Maybe I am. I'm thinking about it. So you're going to be able to see the overview of the Money Max. Okay, here we are. So I'm going to put that link here in the chat so that you can come and just watch. This is not your personal analysis, but it's going to show you an overview of what this system looks like. All right, so I'm going to put the Money Max, and this is on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. I am going to be there. And what we do is we do an overview of what the Money Max account looks like, okay? So it's in the chat. Now, during this overview, you're going to have a chance to set up your own free personal analysis. And this is what you were asking for. Do I have to have a one-on-one in order to get a Money Max account? No, you do not. You do not. But if you do, you're going to know what it's going to do for you with your individual numbers. You're going to know what your guaranteed payoff date. This is a guaranteed way for you to get out of debt, okay? And it takes $1 of cash flow. Like I said, this would be a great option for them because they have plenty of cash flow. Even if they went into the meeting and they said, yeah, I know our worksheet shows that we have about $1,500 in cash flow, but we only want to include $100 of that, okay? $100. So I want to act like I only have $100 in cash flow in case I want to spend $1,414 on a vacation, or if I want to, take my kids school shopping or whatever. You tell them exactly what you want and how you want it set up, and then give them the debt that you're going to be paying off in it, even collections. They don't care if you've got collections. It doesn't care if you have a high DTI. It doesn't care if you have a low credit score like they do. It doesn't matter. It's about your cash flow, okay? And you can use all of your cash flow or you can use $1 of your cash flow. But when you go into that one-on-one, they're going to show you what this system does for you in your situation. That's very important because we do not want to be jumping into anything without being educated first. So that's the point of having the Tuesday night webinar that we're going to have, giving you an overview of what the system looks like, how you pull it up, what it's doing, how it's eliminating the interest, how it's showing you to make your payments. Okay. Then if you are like, wow, okay, I want to see what that does for me, then you can get your own free personal analysis. It's all free, so you can't scream scam until you've been through the process. And once you know what it's going to do for you, then you can jump in or you can turn around and walk away. Nobody's even going to care. This is about getting you educated, okay? All right, so let's see if we have any more. Your credit score. Okay, I don't know what you're referring to. We got France in the house. Hello, hello. Wish we would have found your channel a few years ago. We are finally almost out of debt. Your system makes so much sense. We had 15 credit cards back in 2018, and after a 2015 layoff, we lived on credit cards. That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so glad the channel has been excellent for you. Recommendations for a HELOC in Illinois. Betty, I only do recommendations, or I have lenders. Let's say it that way. I don't recommend anybody. You can do what you want to do. But I have first lien HELOC lenders, meaning that you no longer have a mortgage. You have a HELOC. Okay. So first lien HELOCs, I do have lenders that work in Illinois. Hey, I'm catching the end of this live chat. I'm so glad to see you're doing well. Well, you're in the middle of it because we're just getting really started. Oh, awesome. So she's talking about she's waiting to hear back from her underwriters. That's going to be starting her infinite banking. That's awesome. Hi, Christy and chat peeps. This is Gary from Mile High City. I love these videos. Closed on a HELOC recently. No more mortgage thanks to Velocity Banking. That is awesome, Gary. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. Wow. If you could buy a house with cash, is that better than a mortgage? Jess, great question. That's where the infinite banking comes in. Is if I were going to do something with cash, even if it's just buying a car, I would want to put it into the infinite banking concept first so that you would be able to be drawing your dividends off of that, your compound interest, then take a loan from yourself and pay for whatever it is that you're interested in buying. That way it's growing, guaranteed growth, guaranteed not to lose it. And it has a death benefit in when you pass that goes on to your children or whoever. So the point is that I love the infinite banking. That way the money's sitting there growing, and when I need it, I can pull it back out and use it in a loan form and then pay myself back. People get so confused about that because I used to. Listen, you couldn't pay me not to pay me back when I take a loan from one of my policies, because that's where we're winners. We're paying ourselves right back. And there is no better life than knowing that you can take a loan from your policies, your monies that you've already set up in there and got ready for it to grow, and you just have to take a loan. And when we see, I don't like the word loan, but I love the word loan in these policies because it's not a loan, it's a line of credit too. It is just like the HELOC, it's just like the PLOC, except it's cheaper. And when you pay yourself back, it's there for you to use again. If we could understand that, everybody would be out doing the infinite banking concept. It is super cool. Okay, how did I get off on that? How did I get off? Oh, because paying for anything in cash seems like using your dollars in a wasteful way. Whereas if you were paying into these premiums on a policy and then taking a loan from yourself, from your policy, you're talking about that money that you were going to use to just pay for whatever you wanted. It's now sitting here growing at compound interest and dividends. So that makes me super happy. So then you can take it and pay for whatever it is. That way your dollar is working more than once. Your income that you're out killing yourself to get is now getting used not just once into the whole life policy, which is the infinite banking concept, but two, pulling it back out and buying what you want. Then three, paying yourself right back. Beautiful. Love it. Love it. So excited. Okay. Let's go on down. If you're using infinite banking, then you could pay for your home potentially from the policy and pay yourself back. Lydia, you're so smart. Yes, exactly. It's kind of like you're getting a free home. Yes, love it. Love that. Okay. Yeah, hit the like button. Okay. Hey, Christy, it's BJ. Still watching and learning. I'm so glad. I cannot believe that the 4-week classes are almost over. Feels like they just started. I feel like it's been a whole lot of information, a lot to get in 4 weeks, but we did it. And guess what? The giveaway is this coming Wednesday, our last class. So excited. Thank you for joining that, BJ. Could they settle those smaller balances with cash flow? Usually collections will settle for less than the balance. Just wondering. Yes, Sylvia. Yes. So that's what we were talking about here. Is even if you're using the money max on these collections, you can still be settling these out. And some people will talk about the national debt relief and using a debt relief company to take care of, credit cards that you're losing money as far as they're going over 30 days, so you're paying a bunch of fees. And you'll hear a lot of commercials about, well, we'll help you take care of those credit cards. What they're going to help you do is ruin your credit score. So you're going to ruin it anyway, so why pay a company to do it, right? So with these, you can settle just like any national debt relief would or anything else. You can settle things yourself if you communicate with whoever is holding that collection. So the point being that just like the comment was here on YouTube, is if you settle these out, you may be able to use some of your cash flow to do that. But at the same time, Money Max can help you to pay off these debts regardless. So you're going to have to decide which strategy works for you. What is it that you feel most comfortable doing? All right. Yes, you're right, though. Settling these out, which is what we just talked about in the last meeting that I had, was that they need to call each individual collection. Now, these are credit cards. So when you call them and you say, hey, I would like to settle this account, they're going to give you an amount that they'll settle for. If it's not something that you feel like is a good deal because you don't have that much available, then give them a little more time and maybe they'll think a little harder about settling at a better rate. Okay. So you're talking about maybe a 50%, and I've heard lower. Some people will say they'll settle for 30. I don't know that exactly because I haven't done a lot of these settlements myself, but I hear a lot of good feedback about how people or these companies will settle with you. So it's important that you at least try to do that before you just jump into starting a payoff on these. The point is they've already ruined your credit and it's not going to get any better until it gets off of your credit, maybe in about 7 years. So do your best to settle out so that you're getting it done. It's not hanging over your head anymore. That's what we don't want, is that feeling that we sit around and we're owing somebody. So in one example, it was a business loan and they had a $29,000 balance that immediately the company come in and said, hey, we'll settle for $19,500. Well, that's $10,000 off with just a conversation. So maybe a little more time would lead them into wanting to settle for even less. The point is we're not trying to get by with what we bought. We don't want anything given to us. We don't want to, be the type of people that we don't want to pay for what we got. But when you're in a mess where you've got all of this going on and you're trying to clean up that mess, then, asking for settlements on these is a fair way, because probably, let's get real. Let's get real here for just a second for you guys who want to throw judgment stones. This is probably mostly interest, and they've already paid the bank, whoever this is, for what they actually bought. This is just piled up from interest over several months. So don't be getting holier than thou when you're talking about settling out on something, because the bank is always going to get theirs, so you don't have to worry. You're not taking food out of their little kitties' mouths when you don't do or pay these things in full. So, and they're going to get you on the tax side of it, because they're going to send you a 1099 for whatever it is they write off for you. So you're not going to, be doing anything that's hurting anybody. You're just trying to fix your situation. So I think that was a nice way of saying, don't be mean to people who are trying to get their situation into a better state so that they can stop the paycheck to paycheck living. We all live and learn. I've made mistakes that you will never make, maybe. You've made mistakes that I hope I will never make, because I've had enough of my own. So when I see different situations, I'm never going to be like, oh, well, you did this to yourself. It's your fault. It's your fault. Now, don't be asking somebody to help you clean it up. I don't live that way, and I don't appreciate people that do. The point is we're all down here learning, and we're all trying to get better. So let's do our best. Okay. All right. Let's see. We've got you guys talking to each other. I was just approved for an overdraft line of credit connected to my checking account, wondering how to use it to help pay off my car loan faster. Watch videos. That is a line of credit. And if you're watching videos, then you're going to understand how to use that line to start paying off debt. I have all of my credit cards automatically taken from my pay that is deposited every month, but my bank stopped charging overdraft fees. I'm so thankful for that. Well, that is awesome. Good, good. We got Jesus in the house talking. Hello, hello. I'm 48 years old, and I have made more progress in the last year and a half with Velocity Banking than I have in my entire adult life. Lydia, thank you so much for sharing that. I have done things that I never thought was possible. Okay. Never thought was possible in my life, just because of the situations that I've been in all of my life. So I know what you mean, and I'm very excited for you. So guys, stay in there. Now, when it comes to paying your credit, these collections, when they're already on your credit, it's not going to get any better than that unless, okay? And just go with me here, because I did this back in the day when I was trying to clean up my credit score. What I did was I went into my credit report, and you're talking about Experian, TransUnion. You go into the reporting system online, and you can file a dispute. So anything that is like this, if you will go in and dispute it, with the agency online. Like I said, you don't have to like walk into the brick and mortar building, but just go on there and mark that you want to file a dispute and then put a reason for why that's even there. Okay. So they're going to research it and they're going to find out if it's a valid reason why you don't want that on your credit report. So if you've been through a divorce, you can say, you know, hey, this was part of the divorce proceedings or whatever. And they may pull that off of your credit report. If you had a health situation, some kind of traumatic situation, if you go into these things that are really affecting your credit score, filing the dispute and asking that it be removed due to whatever reason, you may be super shocked at how good that works. I know I was, okay? I had many things removed from my credit reports. Gosh, it's been a long time ago, but they actually went in and removed them completely. And I was surprised after they did their research. So just saying that might be a good way for you to get some of that stuff off of your credit report. Would you move a 4% AES loan to a line if you have the cash flow to really hit the line and pay that off quickly? Why wouldn't you? So yes, yes. I had 6 accounts in collections. I settled on a few and then set up interest-free payments on the others. I'm still paying on one, but my credit score is 750 now, and it's only been 4 years. No debt relief needed. CD, so happy for you. Beautiful. So encouraging. Share your encouraging stories because people really need to be encouraged. There's a lot of people that are hurting out there in a lot more ways than financially, but a lot of people are hurting financially. And when they hear encouragement like that, it just gives them a breath of fresh air and they're ready to run out and take on the world. And we need to do that for people. My husband had cancer, went on permanent disability. There is no way to pay collections on cards. That's unfortunate, Brenda. You know, maybe with some time, you two could go dispute those and hopefully they'll remove that due to the situation that you're in right now. Bless you on that. Bless you. So many people have such a hard time. How do you go out and rag on people and scream it's their fault that they're in a financial situation when we have situations such as this with cancer? When you have situations of divorce, certain why do certain gurus think that they have a right to talk down to people because they're in a financial situation? I'm saying that I am no better than every single one of you that might be in collections right now, that might be in a paycheck to paycheck situation. Maybe you're in a negative paycheck situation, a negative cash flow situation. And I am no better than you. I have just been through this and have done a lot of studying on what the different tools that the bank will do, how they work, and how you can use them to end your financial stress. So that's all this channel is about, is explaining and showing examples of what I learned in my own struggle. And I'm not a financial advisor. And if you don't like that, then turn off the channel. The point is I'm going on experience here. It's worked for me. It's been a beautiful experience. And I want to share that with you so that you too will have an opportunity to hopefully jump into something that is going to completely change your financial life. I'm just learning as I go, and there's The Money Max and the Infinite Banking, all of that have come with this process of learning. And I'm still learning. We're now into the blaster. The debt blaster, which is totally beautiful when it in the IBC concept there, the infinite banking concept. So there's all kinds of new things that I'm still learning. I want to keep growing. I keep asking the Lord for wisdom so that he can give us more information, because wow, what a difference it makes to your life when you get your finances in order. Okay. As a server without reliable income, what are my routes towards earning a HELOC in order to start my own business? Very, very good question. That is a very good question. You do need a line of credit when you are self-employed or when you're just living on the tips. There has to be a way. There has to be a way that a server can get into a line of credit. Maybe if you did the line of credit like I show with, let's see, the bank, you like where you can do the credit card at the bank, and then, or whoever you have your checking account with, and you can transfer monies back and forth. Maybe something like that. That would give you a line of credit to work with. I've talked about that many times on videos before, showing you how to use a credit card that is linked to your checking account. Has to be within the same bank, and sometimes you can use that as a line of credit. So maybe you could do that. Okay. All right, let's see. I truly need your help. What do I need to do? One-on-one? Yes. Yes. And I have links underneath the videos. Hello, Christy. Out of debt and using velocity to build more avenues to buy more properties. You are truly a blessing. Have a great day. Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate that. I'm just so glad that everybody's learning. Makes me very, very happy. Let's see. We got anything else? Anybody asking questions? You all are really answering. Yes, I do Zoom calls one-on-one. The link is underneath the videos. I can't get convenience checks. Do you want us to use cash advance on credit cards? Now, Sherry, the cash advance is a no, because there's so many fees in there, unless the loan that you're paying off is so much higher in interest that your fees are going to be outweighed by the cash advance fee, or your fees for the paying off the loan are going to be very much higher, like meaning that when you take a cash advance fee compared to what you're paying in the interest on the loan, then it's a no-brainer. That's the only time that I always won, and I did use cash advance. Okay, I did do that, but you have to consider is the fees that you're going to be paying with that cash advance, is it less than what you're going to be paying in the loan amounts? Okay, and what that interest is. So weigh it out. It's not that hard. You got to figure out, those fees can get really expensive, and most of the time they're not worth it. It's not worth it to pay cash advance fees to get rid of another debt, but I have done it and it was worth it to me. So keep playing with it. Hey, JC. I just jump in whenever I get a wild hair, JC. So I don't have a schedule. If I'm figured out that, hey, I got a few minutes here in between appointments, I'll jump on and do a live. This was my approach, but most VB practitioners don't approach car loans like I do. Okay, what did I miss? What did I miss about the car loan? Are you talking about with the cash advance? Hey, Jesus, you could teach us a thing or two, I'll bet. A bank in New York City for a line of credit. If anybody knows where a bank in New York City is that has a good line of credit, please put it in the chat. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off of here. I just wanted to jump in for a minute and say hello. Wanted to talk a little bit about the collections and let you know that I don't want you to be discouraged over that, you're going to figure this out. Where there's a will, there's a way, and you have to keep digging. You're going to figure this out. I know you are. I had one collection when I got started as well. So I had one lady I worked with, she had two collections. She had under a 600 credit score. She was like 567, something like that. And when we started revolving the credit cards that she had, and what she had to do was go to a local credit union and ask them for a credit card, right? And when she got the credit card, it was only a $500 limit. That's not a lot. But what she did was she would go to the grocery store, charge her groceries $50, $100. Then she would go home and pay the card right back. So she'd go make a payment and pay it right off. Revolving that credit card, she revolved two other small credit cards that she had just like that. And she went, that was in February of 2023. By September of 2023, she was into a $100,000 HELOC. So do not sit there and be stressing out because you're where you're at today. If you're with a low credit score or you have collections, work, get busy, know that it's going to change for you and you're going to be in great shape in just a few weeks or months. This doesn't take a long time. I'm not talking about a Dave Ramsey, 10-year payoff period. I'm talking about get started, get moving, and then move into each product that's going to help you to get to where you're going. She started with a $500 limit and she went to a $100,000 HELOC. Like I said, from February to September. If anybody can do this, you can do it. Okay? I'm so glad to hear that. Felicity and my HELOC has given me peace of mind. Now I just need to be patient and let it work. It's exactly right. It's exactly right. The peace should come once you're into a line. Once the peace comes, then get excited. Even if you want to then go get the second job so you can make it go faster. Do whatever you want to do, but it does not take a second job. It does not take delivering pizzas. It doesn't even take you eating beans and rice. Okay. So I want everybody to be excited. No, Christy, I realized the car loans can function like an LOC, so I paid a car loan for a year, which freed up the monthly payment as cash flow. Well, that's awesome, but I don't know how a car loan functions like an LOC. Oh my gosh, you're going to have to show me what that means by leveraging a 0% credit card offer. That is perfect. Yes. Rice and beans are good, but it ain't something that I want to eat for every meal because I'm living like a pauper because somebody told me that I had to live in scarcity because if I spent 1 cent at a restaurant, I was going to hell. I don't want to hear that stuff. Call me a spender, but the point is I want to eat out sometimes. And when somebody tells me I can't, that makes me want to go to Outback right now. Anybody up for an Outback meal? Hello, hello. That's what I'm saying. Is I'm going to eat out, and I was going to back then even. But the point is that if you think that you're going to be broke and be in scarcity, then you're never going to figure out a way that you can do something like a restaurant out. You're never going to look at other options because somebody told you, hey, you can't do that because if you do, then you're dishonoring your family because you spent an extra. That's a bull. That's a bull. Everybody needs a break. Everybody needs to stop a minute, put a smile on your face, stop turning on these crazy people that tell you that you're not supposed to have a life. Stop listening to people that tell you your kids are not important right now. Getting that second job is, and when you get done with the second job, you need to go on into the graveyard shift and work some more. That is so angering to me that somebody would do that to a person and put that much weight on somebody by telling them you are a loser because you want to spend some time at home with your wife or your husband or your children, especially your children too, because they grow up and move out. The time you have now with them little is the only time you're going to get. And you're going to be so working overtime that you never get to see them. And you're not going to go take a meal out at some restaurant, maybe to spend some time with them. And you're not going to go on vacation while they're little because you got a car loan that you need to pay off, or you bought a home so you could live in it. That is sickening, that somebody who's sitting as a millionaire in a very wealthy part of our nation right now telling you, yeah, forget you've got kids. You need to be out working. Dig a ditch if you need to. Well, I just think I think that's horrible. I think that's horrible. I don't think that you should live in scarcity. If you are a child of God and he promises to supply all of your needs according to his riches and glory through Jesus Christ, why are you trying to make it happen by I got to train a child in the way it should go, but no, you can't, because we got to put it in daycare because we're going to be over here working a second and a third job. That doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even make any sense. It's a lot of work clawing your way back to good credit, but it's possible and so gratifying. I got laid off again in 2024, but this time I was ready. No more incurring debt, no credit cards. Yay, because you have a line of credit. Yes, we are in abundance. We are in abundance. Oh my goodness. Wow. Jesus didn't come here he says he came here to give us life and life more abundantly. Then, if that's true, why are you living like poverty is your way of life? Why are you living like that you're afraid to not take time with your kids with these vacations or whatever? Abundance is not sitting in a job that you hate. Abundance is not sitting stressing out every few minutes over some debt you got yourself into. Abundance is not, well, we can't go out and eat today. We're going to have to, we're going to have to get the pasta down and everybody have a bowl because somebody told us that it was wrong for us to take some time to go out and, spend $50 on a meal. If you saw the live that I did, was it yesterday or the day before, where I showed that the credit card interest, the interest was totaling over $500 a month. And I said, if you had that $500 a month, you could easily be eating out at restaurants. You could easily be taking vacations. But because you were stressing out about, oh, well, I gotta, I gotta go to work, instead of, hey, let's get the tools of the bank under control. Let's decide which tools at the bank are the best for us to use, instead of let's get another job and try to throw more money onto this stuff. How about if we first get it into a line of credit or into a tool that works for us, and then when we get extra money coming in, we can throw it into that line and really pay off the debt and stop the interest that we're throwing away every month. Because if you're paying $500 a month in interest, what could you do with that $500 if you had it? That's the way you need to look at your finances, is what are you throwing away every month and how can we recapture that? Because if you recapture what you're throwing away in interest, then guess what? The meals out, that's not going to be expensive for you. That's not going to be something that you're like, oh my gosh, I knew it. I knew we shouldn't have gone to McDonald's yesterday. Look, that was $35 and here I am, I got to come up with $35. No. It's wrong thinking. We're using the wrong tools at the bank. Once you figure that out, everything else is going to be smooth. You're going to get everything back in order. Everything's going to feel in control. You're going to be excited again. And I want you excited again. Okay. All right. So yes, and giving. Oh my goodness. Yes. Giving is the way you win. The more you give, the more you receive. So spiritual law, you cannot get by that. So be a giver. Thanks, Jesus. I've been trying to buy used for a year now, but realize the risk isn't worth it or seller will back out. So frustrating. Oh my gosh, what does that mean? Buy used for a year. Okay, I don't know what that means. I'm just glad that so many of you are getting the help that you need. I'm glad you're getting answers. That's all the channel's here for. It's free study, okay? Study. If you want to join me Tuesday night for the Money Max, I put the link in the chat. I guess I could do that again. This is going to be Tuesday at 7 p.m. and that's Central Time. It's going to just be an overview of the Money Max. Check into the Infinite Banking. We have links underneath the videos if you need to understand, which insurance company you need to use for that. We have most of the answers that you need. So the point is you have to take some time to get educated in how they're going to work for you. Okay. All right. I am going to jump off of here and work on some more things, but I wanted to say hello, answer some questions, let you know if you're in collections is not the worst case scenario, that you're going to be fine. You just have to figure out what strategy that you're going to be using. The Black Pearl. Hello, hello. How good credit have to be to transfer to a TLOC, a HELOC? What am I saying? Oh my gosh. So you're talking about a credit score being over 680-ish for a second position HELOC and 700 for a first lien HELOC. Okay. All right, guys.